Part 1. The Cursed Sector. December 1942. The gates of a frozen hell near Rzhev. The German Ninth Army called this stretch of land the Dead Forest. There were no front lines here, only an endless labyrinth of ice-covered pines and craters filled with frozen blood. But the Wehrmacht had a problem. They called it Der Unsichtbare Tod, the Invisible Death. In the daily log of the 251st Infantry Division, a chilling entry appeared. "We are not fighting a soldier. We are fighting a forest that has learned how to pull a trigger." Part 2. The Hunter's Son. His name was Batagay. He came from a small Yakut village in the depths of Siberia, where 50 degrees below zero is considered a mild day. In his hands, he carried a standard Mosin Nagant rifle with a PU scope, but to him, it wasn't a tool. It was an extension of his soul. Batagay didn't just shoot, he dissolved. The Yakut people have spent centuries hunting squirrels by hitting them exactly in the eye to save the fur. To Batagay, a German helmet at 600 yards was a massive, easy target. But he was never in a hurry. He could lie in the snow for 20 hours without moving a single muscle, slowing his heart rate to the rhythm of a hibernating bear. His skin would crust with frost, and he exhaled his breath through the sleeve of his greatcoat to hide the steam. Part 3. Psychological Terror. The horror escalated when Batagay stopped simply killing. He started playing. Inside the German trenches, men began to lose their minds. One morning, Lieutenant Klaus found that a sniper's bullet had snatched the cigarette right out of his mouth without touching his lips. An hour later, another soldier reached for his mess kit. A bullet punched a hole through the metal with surgical precision. It was a message. Batagay was showing them, "I see everything. I am letting you live only as long as I am bored." One night, a 5-man German patrol vanished. At dawn, they were found in the center of a clearing. They were sitting in a perfect circle, frozen solid. On each of their foreheads, an ancient symbol of the Saka people had been carved into the skin. There were no footprints in the fresh snow, not one. The soldiers whispered that this wasn't a man. This was Kerakay, a spirit of vengeance summoned from the dark heart of the taiga. Part 4. Duel with the Aristocrat. Berlin sent an answer. An SS Stundartenführer, the top instructor from the sniper school at Zossen. He had the finest Carl Zeiss optics and a custom Mauser rifle. He was an aristocrat of the hunt. For 3 days, they stalked each other. The German used decoys, mirrors, and smoke screens. On the 4th day, the German spotted a faint glint in the roots of an old cedar tree. He smirked, adjusted his windage, and squeezed the trigger. Crack! The shot shattered the enemy's scope. The SS ace stood up to claim his kill, but he froze. 10 feet away from him, directly out of a snowbank he thought was just a drift, a figure slowly rose. It was Batagay. All that time he wasn't in the tree roots. He was lying right under the German's feet, draped in the pelt of a white wolf. Batagay didn't fire. He looked the German in the eye, narrow, dark eyes that held no hatred, only the cold of eternal permafrost. He whispered something in his native tongue. Later, historians would say it was an ancient blessing for a successful hunt. Batagay simply turned and walked into the blizzard. The German sniper didn't shoot him in the back. He was found 2 days later, wandering aimlessly, whispering that the snow has a face. Finale. The Eternal Watch. Officially, Batagay went missing in action in 1943, but in German archives, reports of the ghost sniper continued to the very end of the war. Even when Soviet troops were already in Berlin, German sentries on abandoned fronts were still being found dead, one bullet right between the eyes. Years later, American intelligence officers studying declassified files found a photo. A short man with a broad face, standing against the backdrop of the infinite Siberian forest. The caption read, "He did not return home because the forest would not let him go. So, if you ever find yourself in the woods of Eastern Europe and you feel a pair of eyes watching you from the white void, don't turn around. Just leave a piece of bread or a rifle cartridge on a stump. Perhaps the ghost of Yakutia will let you leave.